world where crime and chaos can strike at any moment, some unsuspecting individuals find themselves at the center of life or death confrontations. From store owners who fight back against thieves to clerks who transform fear into bravery, today's video showcases heart-stopping moments when ordinary people become extraordinary heroes. Get ready to witness shocking footage of a store owner stabbing a thief in self-defense, a calm clerk derailing a robbery in seconds, and a woman who fearlessly confronts a gunman. Buckle up, because you won't believe the twists and turns that unfold in these real-life showdowns. Let's get right in. Woman confronts thief with gun. In March 2016, the entire small town in Georgia was buzzing about Bhumika Patel, who ran a local convenience store. One morning, a man walked in pretending to buy a canned drink, and at first glance, everything seemed normal. However, while Patel was distracted by her computer, the man suddenly pulled out a gun and aimed it at her. Instead of panicking, Patel took control of the situation. As the robber reached for the cash, she shoved the gun aside and slammed the cash drawer on his head. Not stopping there, she quickly grabbed a hammer from beneath the counter, sending the thief running for the exit. He didn't just flee empty-handed. In his rush, he even lost a shoe. Proud of her bravery, Patel shared the security footage with her customers, becoming a local hero. Thief tries to pray his way out of a sticky situation. A guy named John Bell strolled into the store convinced that robbing it would be a piece of cake. Little did he know things would quickly spiral out of control. When he demanded that employee Katrina Leon open the cash register, she calmly refused. In a surprising twist, she dashed outside, ushering the customers along and locking the door behind them. Unbeknownst to Bell, that door could only be unlocked from the outside. Suddenly trapped, he realized he was in a cage, with barred windows offering no escape. In desperation, he fired 4 shots at the lock, but the door remained unyielding. Frustrated, Bell hurled himself at the door in a futile attempt to break it down. With no other options, he fell to his knees praying for help and forgiveness. His cries fell on deaf ears. Soon after, the police arrived and Bell's escape plan ended. He was arrested easily, having already been trapped in the store, his own makeshift jail. Thanks to quick thinking and a locked door, the situation was resolved without violence. Quick thinking clerk traps thieves. In Smethwick, Birmingham, a gang armed with large knives burst into a small store, creating chaos. They aggressively threatened the staff, demanding cash. CCTV footage captured one masked robber menacingly demanding money and threatening the shopkeeper. In a brave move, the clerk dashed from behind the counter and smashed 2 bottles of wine on the floor, momentarily distracting the robbers and allowing him to escape. But he wasn't finished. As he fled, he pulled the door shut behind him, trapping the thieves inside. One robber attempted to push his way out, but a passerby in a motorcycle helmet intervened, gripping the door handle to keep it shut. Inside, a man claiming to be a bystander begged to be let out, but the situation escalated when the robber threatened him with a machete, intensifying the chaos unfolding in the store. In a frantic bid for freedom, the robber started hacking at the door with his knife. Eventually, the main robber forced the so-called bystander away from the scene. Ultimately, the gang successfully escaped through a bathroom window. The price of a bad decision. In March 2017, 27-year-old Emmanuel Ham walked into a small food mart in Columbus, Ohio, with a handgun concealed beneath his worn coat. The store clerk sensed something was amiss the moment Ham entered, feeling an unsettling vibe. Trusting his instincts, he knew trouble was brewing. Ham had every intention of robbing the store, but he didn't realize the clerk was ready for him. As soon as Ham brandished his weapon, the clerk swiftly drew his own gun and fired, his mind racing with thoughts of his family. The image of his children fueled his determination not to become an easy target. Wounded and in shock, Ham fled the scene, hoping to evade capture. His escape plan, however, quickly unraveled. He made his way to a nearby hospital for the treatment of a gunshot wound to his hand, but the staff alerted the police upon seeing a man matching Ham's description. Fortunately, his injuries were not life-threatening, and he was expected to recover fully. Nevertheless, Ham found himself in a predicament he couldn't escape from. He was arrested and charged with aggravated robbery, with a bond set at $75,000. Reflecting on the ordeal, Ham likely wished he had stayed home that night, as what began as a simple robbery spiraled into a disastrous turn of events. Store employee beat up thief. It's not as enjoyable when the tables turn, and that's exactly what happened to a man trying to rob a 7-Eleven in California. Two employees decided they weren't going to let him succeed. The video opens with the suspect, his face concealed by a blue t-shirt, as he grabs a trash can and begins stuffing it with cigarette boxes. While he loads up, he hurls insults at the employees and threatens to shoot them. Meanwhile, the person recording the incident keeps insisting there's nothing they can do while the thief fills his bag with hundreds of dollars worth of products. The situation takes a turn when the suspect attempts to push past one of the employees. Seizing the moment, one worker grabs him while the other swings a stick, leading to an unexpected beating that surprises the robber. The sound of the stick hitting him echoes throughout the store as he quickly shifts from arrogance to begging for mercy, claiming he can't walk and pleading for them to stop. Afterward, the filmer leads the robber out, firmly denying his request for a soda, adding to his humiliation. One punch, one black eye. Andre Young, a 52-year-old man, ends up with a black eye after a failed robbery attempt that takes a surprising turn. On that fateful night, he walks into a store on Northland Boulevard in Forest Park, armed with a box cutter and brimming with misplaced confidence. He confronts the cashier, suggesting they can do this the easy way or the hard way before leaping over the counter. However, his bravado quickly crumbles when the cashier responds with a swift punch that sends Young crashing to the floor. That single hit not only stops the robbery, but leaves Young sporting a prominent black eye, clearly visible in the aftermath. After taking down Young, the cashier immediately calls 911. By the time the police arrive, Young is in rough shape, and his misfortunes don't end there. During his court appearance days later, he still shows the signs of his failed attempt and has to use crutches to walk. Facing serious charges, including aggravated robbery and assault, Young's bond is set at $175,000. This isn't his first encounter with the law. Back in 2005, he was convicted for another robbery attempt at the same store, this time wielding a bat. After this experience, he might finally reconsider his choices. The robber who met his match in a Missouri liquor store. In 2013, a man in southwest Missouri underestimated the resolve of a liquor store clerk during an attempted robbery. John Lewis Alexander was manning the counter when the thief walked in, casually smoking a cigarette. Alexander coolly suggested he take it outside, but instead of leaving, the robber brandished a gun and demanded cash, unaware of the skills Alexander possessed. With 30 years of military experience, including 4 tours in Iraq, Alexander was no ordinary clerk. He had also served as a prison guard and private investigator, well-versed in handling high-stress situations. Additionally, he was armed with a Walther PPX 9mm handgun. Surveillance footage captured Alexander's lightning-fast reflexes. In one fluid motion, he deflected the robber's gun with his left hand while drawing his own weapon with the right. He pointed it at the robber's mouth, warning him calmly to exit before things escalated. After a moment of hesitation, the robber chose to flee. Fortunately, no one was injured, and the police later remarked on Alexander's good fortune. He, however, believed it was the robber who had lucked out that day. Store owner stabs thief. This intense footage from a Las Vegas vape shop is tough to watch. It starts with 2 juveniles, both in black ski masks, casually walking in, while a third lingers at the door. Right away, the store owner grows suspicious, questioning why they're wearing masks. When he asks them to leave, one of the teens snatches the tip jar and heads for the exit. But things take a drastic turn when he returns for more. The situation explodes when one of the teens leaps over the counter, grabbing for products on the shelves. The store owner isn't having it. He grabs a knife and without hesitation, stabs the teen 7 times. Shocked and panicked, the injured teen shouts that he's dying before collapsing to the floor. The other 2 flee, abandoning their friend. Police arrive shortly after, arresting the juveniles while the injured one is rushed to the hospital. What starts as a robbery escalates into a brutal confrontation in seconds, showing just how quickly things can spiral out of control. The brave stand of a store clerk. Zara Adel, a 21-year-old store clerk, stands her ground as 2 hooded men enter her parents' shop. The CCTV footage shows the men glancing down, trying to hide their faces from the camera. In a split second, one man heads straight for the open register, snatching fistfuls of cash. In his clumsiness, he carelessly tosses aside his handgun. And that's when Zara sees her opportunity. Without a moment's hesitation, she grabs the weapon, displaying remarkable bravery, especially since the robber towers over her. But the man isn't backing down. He pushes Zara hard against a wall lined with liquor bottles, attempting to overpower her. Yet she stands her ground, determined to protect the store. As he yanks the cash drawer from the register, convinced he'll escape with the money, Zara isn't ready to let him go that easily. In a flash, she seizes his jacket, pulling the cash drawer from his grip. They struggle fiercely, locked in a battle for control. Eventually, the robber realizes he's outmatched and bolts from the store, leaving empty-handed. Later, Zara shares with local news that she fired the gun, hitting the man in the shoulder as he fled. Though she sustains a few minor injuries, Zara emerges as a symbol of strength and resilience. What could have been a disaster transforms into an inspiring tale of courage, showcasing just how far someone will go to defend what's theirs. Elderly store owner shoots thief. In a bold turn of events, an elderly store owner decided to defend his business during a robbery attempt. The incident unfolded at Norco Market in Liquor in the early morning hours. Around 2:47 a.m., surveillance footage caught a masked man entering the store, pointing an AR-15 style rifle at the 80-year-old Craig Cope. The robber ordered him to freeze, but Cope acted quickly. Within moments, he pulled out a shotgun from under the counter and fired, hitting the intruder in the arm. The video shows another man exiting a black BMW SUV outside, but the moment he saw the first robber fleeing and screaming about his injured arm, he jumped back into the car. They sped off, with the wounded suspect still yelling in pain as they made their getaway. The police eventually found the suspects at a Southern California hospital, where one had a gunshot wound consistent with Craig's shotgun blast. Despite thwarting the robbery, Craig suffered a heart attack afterward, but his wife assured the media he would fully recover, proving he was no easy target at 80. Thieves flee after facing armed 73-year-old in jewelry store. A group of thieves attempted to rob a jewelry store in Pleasant Hill, California, targeting its rings, watches, and high-end items. Surveillance footage reveals a woman casually walking through the store, scouting security cameras while on the phone. After leaving, she stalled outside, trying to prevent the security guard from closing the door. Moments later, a group of men, one armed with a sledgehammer, forced their way inside. The thieves rushed toward the jewelry section, eager to snatch anything valuable. What they didn't anticipate was a 73-year-old employee standing firm with a revolver in hand. The unexpected sight of the firearm froze them in place. Realizing they were outmatched, they immediately turned and bolted out of the store. The robbers scrambled back to two waiting cars. Just before they could speed off, a police vehicle arrived, but the officers were unable to pursue them, allowing the thieves to escape. However, thanks to the quick-thinking employee, the store was spared from what could have been a major robbery. Silent treatment. A man in a red hoodie enters a Florida Walgreens, believing he has found an easy target. It's a quiet Monday afternoon, and his plan seems straightforward. Grab some candy and ice cream before robbing the store. At first, everything appears normal. He places his snacks on the checkout counter, and the cashier scans them. But then, in a sudden move, he pulls out a gun, brandishing it in the cashier's face and demanding all the cash in the register. However, the situation doesn't go as the robber expects. Instead of panicking, the clerk remains eerily calm and silent, staring intently at the armed man. The tension in the air becomes palpable, but the employee's expression remains blank, as if the gun holds no power over him. Frustrated, the thief continues to demand money, waving his gun in desperation. But the clerk's icy gaze never wavers. After what feels like an eternity, the man in the hoodie finally gives up. With no cash and feeling defeated, he exits the store, leaving behind only the candy bars and ice cream he originally picked up. Later, police remark that while this incident ended peacefully, it's generally safer to cooperate with armed robbers. Ultimately, what was meant to be a heist turns into a comical failure. The robber walks away with nothing but a few snacks and an embarrassing tale to tell. Alcohol thief stopped by cashier. On Halloween night in 2022, a man enters a convenience store in Horsham, West Sussex, wearing a hoodie and quickly gets to work. He heads straight to the counter and wrestles with the cashier, a woman who is determined to defend herself. During their struggle, he grabs a few bottles from the shelves and, in a fit of anger, attempts to strike her with one. However, she fights back fiercely with a stick. After the altercation, the man flees the store, but he doesn't get far. Outside, the woman's relative chases him down and tackles him into a nearby garden. A neighbor, hearing the commotion, rushes out to help hold the man until the police arrive. The man, identified as 32-year-old Samuel Brown, is arrested and faces charges of robbery and 2 counts of assault. In court, he admits to all charges and receives a sentence of 49 months behind bars for his actions. Calm clerk derails robbery in seconds. On the quiet night of August 16, 2023, just after 9 p.m., a white Nissan Altima pulled up to a store in Fountain Valley. Security cameras captured a masked man in a hoodie exiting the passenger seat and approaching the store. The clerk watched everything play out on the security monitor, quickly realizing that trouble was headed their way. The robber stormed in, gun raised, and aimed it directly at the clerk, demanding to know where the money was. His shouting was meant to intimidate, but the clerk stayed calm, showing no signs of fear. In a split second, the clerk reached for something hidden by the register, a handgun of his own. Suddenly, the situation flipped. The startled robber backed away and bolted toward the exit, but the clerk wasn't finished yet. He chased the thief all the way to the parking lot, though the robber managed to jump into a getaway car and speed off just in time. It was a close call, but thanks to the clerk's quick reflexes, what could have been a disaster was avoided. Wounded clerk scares off bank robbers. At the beginning of this video, a masked robber enters a private finance company in Pahawa, Haryana, India, during lunchtime. The office is empty except for one clerk, Sandeep Kumar, who focuses on completing urgent tasks at his desk. The robber demands cash, but Sandeep informs him that he doesn't have access to it. Frustrated, the robber approaches Kumar and fires 2 shots. One bullet hits the clerk in his left arm, and the other strikes his back. Despite the excruciating pain, Kumar remains resolute and urges the robber to leave, warning him that other employees and customers will soon arrive. Surprisingly, the robber retreats. Moments later, his accomplice enters the office, but Kumar manages to scare him off as well. Both men quickly flee on a motorcycle without a license plate. Shortly after, Kumar's colleagues discover him and rush him to the hospital, where he receives treatment for his injuries and survives. Later, a local police officer confirms the robber's escape, but the investigation continues. Phone store robbery gone wrong. On an ordinary day in Chicago, a man entered a cell phone store, initially blending in as a regular customer. He approached the counter, feigning interest in purchasing a phone, and the store owner felt reassured. However, the atmosphere quickly shifted when the man brandished a gun and revealed an empty bag. It became evident that he wasn't there to shop. Trying to defuse the situation, the owner stayed calm and proposed that the robber could take a new phone if he agreed to leave peacefully. Yet the greedy thief demanded more, forcing the owner to the back of the store in search of cash or a safe. What he didn't realize was that numerous security cameras were capturing his every move. The owner kept his cool and began loading phones into the bag, all while formulating a plan. As they approached the cash register, the robber's attention shifted to the money, giving the owner the opportunity he needed. With a swift strike, he knocked the gun from the thief's hand, reversing their roles. In a panic, the thief snatched the bag and tried to escape, but mistakenly ran into a room he thought was an exit. The owner wasted no time calling 911. After a tense struggle, they became entangled in a cord, but ultimately the robber managed to flee, leaving empty-handed and defeated. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed these incredible stories of brave cashiers, like and subscribe for more shocking moments.